Hello, I'm David Hardesty, and in this lecture I want to talk to you about my expectations for your writing in this course. The goals of this lecture are as follows. To review the goals for writing in this course, to understand how these goals are applied to unit discussion problems in this course, and then understand how these goals are applied to examinations in this course. First, let us look at the goals for writing in this course. These goals are simply stated. Students should be able to identify tax issues, resolve those issues through research using authoritative materials, and effectively communicate the results both orally and in writing. Let's discuss how we meet these goals. In order to identify tax issues, a student needs to have a broad exposure to all significant areas of taxation. In this course, the goal is to cover each area of domestic and international tax law that relates to taxation of inbound transactions. In order to effectively research identified issues, students need to understand how to work with primary and secondary tax authorities. In this course, this means gaining an in-depth knowledge of those sections of the Internal Revenue Code, related regulations and tax treaties, and other authorities that impact inbound transactions. And in order to effectively communicate the results of their research in writing, students must continue to practice good habits of writing. Written communication is the subject of the rest of this lecture. Although this course is not described as a writing course, for practical purposes it is, at least in part. In order for graduate students to achieve a professional level of proficiency in writing on tax issues, each course in a study of taxation must emphasize good writing skills. Therefore, here's what I expect of students in this course. First, I expect anything you write to be based upon primary and secondary authorities. Any written communication in this course must be backed by authority. If you cite a rule in a discussion or exam, then you have to indicate the source of the rule. This is the way a tax professional writes in the real world, and you need to get as much practice in this method of writing as you can in a controlled classroom situation so that you have the right skills when you enter the world. Second, I expect good quality sentences and paragraphs, good grammar and spelling, and well-organized answers to discussion and exam problems. I expect a quality that would be appropriate for a letter or a memo to an employer, a client, or a governmental agency. This means complete sentences, well-thought-out paragraphs, and no email or text message type shorthand. In short, I insist upon professional writing. There's a simple reason for this. It's been my experience that professional level writing encourages professional level thinking and analysis. If a student writes using complete sentences and clear paragraphs, then the student tends to provide a much higher level of analysis than a student who gives little thought to the writing process. More important, complete sentences and clear paragraphs make for a much better organized and understandable presentation of an analysis. Finally, continual practice of good writing skills gets students closer to the goal of obtaining professional level writing skills, which makes them better tax professionals. Now let's turn to writing in discussion problems. The purposes of the discussions in this course are as follows. To apply the knowledge gained from reading and quizzes to a variety of situations encountered by non-resident aliens and foreign corporations. To gain experience working with the authoritative materials that are important in international taxation, including key statutes, regulations, and cases. And to practice written communication of the conclusions regarding the issues reached. Another quite practical goal is to learn how to effectively address these types of problems in writing, which will allow a student to do well on a written final exam in this course, which is composed of problems much like the unit discussion problems. The writing goals for the discussion problems are best accomplished by approaching each discussion problem as a tax research project. A written tax research paper or opinion has 5 basic elements, represented by the mnemonic FIRAC. Facts, a statement of the relevant facts. Issue, a brief statement of the issue or issues to be addressed in the tax research paper. Rule, citation of the rules that apply to the research paper. Analysis, the application of the rules to the facts. And conclusion, a statement of conclusions on the issues. Does a written answer to a discussion problem have to be long, like a formal research paper? No, it does not. However, in order to be professional and therefore acceptable for a discussion problem solution in this course, a written solution must include all of the FIRAC elements. Here's an example of how this can be done. First, in a discussion or exam problem, the facts will be given, so you do not need to restate them for your solution. Here are some facts. Foreign Corp, a Country X corporation that sells furniture, opens a branch office in Pittsburgh through which it sells inventory to U.S. customers. The inventory is purchased from unrelated manufacturers. Foreign Corp's only sales to U.S. customers are out of this office, and Foreign Corp has no other income from U.S. sources. For the purposes of this problem, assume that Foreign Corp is engaged in a U.S. trade or business. Here's the issue for this problem. How much of Foreign Corp's worldwide income is taxable in the United States? Here's now the rules section of this solution. Under Section 882A1, U.S. tax is imposed on a foreign corporation's business income only when it is effectively connected with a U.S. trade or business. If a taxpayer is engaged in a U.S. trade or business, then under Section 864C3, all U.S. source business income is deemed to be effectively connected with that trade or business. Under Section 861A6, if a taxpayer purchases inventory and sells it to customers in the United States, the source of the income from those sales is the United States. Next comes the analysis section of this solution. In this case, all of the taxpayer's sales from its U.S. branch are made to U.S. customers, and it has no other U.S. source income. Therefore, its U.S. source income equals its sales from the U.S. branch. In addition, all of those sales are effectively connected with its U.S. trade or business. And here's the conclusion. Under the rules cited above, the inventory sales to U.S. customers are the only U.S. source income and are effectively connected income. Accordingly, The company is taxable in the United States on these inventory sales and is not taxable in the United States on any of its non-U.S. income. Now, let's talk about how to respond to other posts. In a discussion, after one student posts a solution to a problem using the format and style discussed previously, other students are expected to comment. How should such comments be made? Here's what you want to do. First, if an initial post for a problem is completely inadequate, then post your own solution. No need to comment on the other solution. If a solution only needs improvement, such as a correction of some points, then here's what to do. First, refer clearly to the solution you are commenting on by referring to the student's name and by referring clearly to that part of the solution you are commenting upon. Then, clearly explain what is wrong with the solution and how you would fix it. You need to provide proper authorities and your rationale. Use complete sentences, good grammar, and good organization, just as you would in your own solution. Here's an example of what not to do. One student commented on a solution by saying, "The citation in 3 should be section 881A. First, it's unclear from this comment what the student is referring to. Second, there's no discussion of what is wrong with the post he's commenting upon, and no discussion on why his citation is right." Here's how that post should have read. In Joe's post, he states that the dividends earned by a foreign corporation are taxable as non-business income under Section 871A. However, Section 871A applies to the taxation of non-resident aliens. He should have cited Section 881A, which imposes tax on the non-business dividends of foreign corporations. Discussion points are given only if you make substantial posts to the discussion area. In most cases, posts will be substantial only if they include all or most of the FIRAC elements. As discussed above, these elements are facts, issue, rule, analysis, and conclusion. Does a post have to be extensive to include all of these elements? No, it does not. Here's a brief example of a comment on a previous post that contains all of the FIRAC elements, or at least most of them. I agree with Mary's post, except that foreign corp's interest may also be effectively connected. Under Section 864C2, interest income can be effectively connected if it is derived from assets used in the trade or business. In this case, the interest is paid on working capital cash, which is clearly used in the business. Therefore, it is effectively connected. Some examples of insubstantial posts for which no discussion points are awarded are as follows. I agree with Mary. This is a totally unsubstantiated personal opinion that adds nothing to the discussion. Also see Section 864C2. Who knows what the poster is referring to in this comment? Foreign corp's interest income is also effectively connected. This comment is not helpful because we do not know how the poster arrives at this conclusion. Now let's talk about writing for examinations. Written exam problems may be long or short. However, in all cases, the questions will be much like those in the weekly discussion problems. Therefore, students should organize their answers to these problems much the same manner as the answers to the discussion problems. That is, students should use the FIRAC form of organizing answers. Because the answers to written problems are similar in form and organization to the discussion problems, students should use the discussion problems to practice writing for the midterm and final exams. This way, students can learn from instructor critique and the critique of other students how to answer these problems most effectively. Students are always looking for tools to help them achieve their writing goals, so let's consider some of them. There are a lot of spell checkers around. Generally, they work and should be used. I would draft my discussion answer in my regular writing program, such as Microsoft Word, where there is a spell checker, and then copy the finished answer to the discussion. There are also some good grammar checkers, including the one built into Microsoft Word. I encourage you to use them. Proofreaders work, period. Proofreaders are text-to-speech software programs that read text aloud back to you. Take it from a professional writer. This is the single best way I know to improve writing. The reason proofreaders work, the reason why text-to-speech readers work, is they read back to you exactly what you've written. When you hear your own words out loud, you discover errors in grammar, spelling, and usage that you would not catch by reading the text yourself, and which are often missed by spelling and grammar checkers. In addition, when you hear the words, you can tell if what you have written sounds right. Sounding right is the best test of good writing. I have been using the program Text Aloud, available at nextup.com, for many years, and I find it an indispensable tool. There's also a text-to-speech program built into Microsoft Windows and one for the Mac. Both are quite usable. Here's a final word. In professional tax practice, if you're arguing a point with tax authorities, you often have to do so in writing. If you're advising your client or your employer on how to comply with tax rules, you often have to do so in writing. If you cannot effectively communicate what you know in writing, people will assume that you do not know and will dismiss what you're trying to say. In this course, in discussion problems and in exams, if you cannot effectively express what you know in writing, then I have to assume you do not know. In this course, as it is in the real world of professional tax practice, it is not enough to know tax law. You have to convincingly communicate that knowledge in writing. If you cannot do so, you will not do well in this course. Because effective writing is critical to a tax professional, you should use this course to hone your writing skills. You have to make good writing a priority.